Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the starlit sands of ancient Egypt, where the air hums with secrets and the Nile whispers to the reeds. Picture yourself sprawled on a stone bed, cool against your skin, under a canopy of gods, painted in lapis and gold. The pharaohs, those half-divine rulers, didn't just sleep, they chased visions of the future, believing their dreams could steer empires. But here's the reality check. You probably won't survive a night on one of those rock-hard slabs without cursing the gods for a cushion. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I'm curious where you're drifting off from tonight. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing in the heart of ancient Egypt, where the sun scorches the desert by day, but night belongs to the gods. The pharaohs, those larger-than-life figures, draped in linen and crowned with power, didn't see sleep as mere rest. No, for them, it was a portala, a direct line to divine whispers about harvests, wars, or betrayals. Why stone beds, though? You're imagining a plush mattress, maybe some goose feather pillows. But these rulers chose slabs of limestone or granite, polished to a sheen, but unforgivingly firm. It wasn't about comfort. It was about connection. The Egyptians believed stone held a kind of cosmic Wi-Fi, linking the sleeper to the divine realm. A soft bed might lull you into a lazy nap, but a stone one that kept you alert, almost vibrating with the earth's own pulse, ready to receive visions. Let's set the scene. You're in a pharaoh's bedchamber, the air thick with incense myrrh, probably curling like a sleepy cat around the room. Torches flicker, casting shadows that dance like priests mid-ritual. The bed itself is low-carved with hieroglyphs of protection, cobras, eyes of Horus, maybe a cheeky scarab or two. You lie down, and it's cold, unyielding, like sleeping on a temple floor. Why would anyone do this? Well, mainstream history tells us the Egyptians saw the body as a vessel, and sleep was when the soul, or BA, could slip out to chat with the gods. Stone beds were practical, too durable, resistant to bugs, and a status symbol. Only the elite could afford such a setup, while peasants made do with reed mats. But here's the quirky bit. Some texts hint that these beds were aligned with cardinal directions, usually north, to tap into the Earth's magnetic field. Fringe scholars whisper half-jokingly that this was ancient tech, like a proto-MRI, for the soul-tuning pharaohs into cosmic frequencies. No proof, of course, but it's fun to imagine them as early biohackers chasing the perfect REM cycle. Historians still argue whether these beds were purely symbolic or had a practical dream-enhancing function. Did the stone really amplify visions? Or was it just a flex of royal power? You're wondering that yourself as you shift on this imaginary slab, your back already protesting. Picture the stakes. A pharaoh like Thutmose IV, who ruled around 1400 BCE, claimed a dream on a stone bed led him to clear sand from the Great Sphinx, earning divine favor. That's a mainstream fact. His dream, Stele, still stands at Giza, bragging about it. But what if the dream was just a clever PR move to justify his reign? You smirk at the thought, because even back then, rulers knew how to spin a story. Yet the belief was real. The Egyptians didn't mess around with dreams. They were as vital as the Nile's floods. A good vision could mean a bountiful harvest. A bad one might signal invasion. You're starting to feel the weight of that responsibility lying there, the stone pressing into your spine like it's testing your worth. Now you're not just anyone. You're a pharaoh, or at least pretending to be. The bed's hardness isn't just physical, it's a reminder of your duty. Every night, you're expected to dream something useful, something the gods approve. No pressure, right? You chuckle imagining a pharaoh tossing and turning, muttering, "Come on, Osiris, give me something I can work with." But the stone bed isn't just a prop, it's a tool, a bridge to the divine. The Egyptians thought its solidity grounded the body while the soul wandered. You're picturing your own dreams, now probably less about cosmic prophecies and more about forgetting to mute Zoom. But for them, this was serious business. As you lie there, the room feels alive. The hieroglyphs seem to pulse, and the incense makes your head swim. You're wondering how anyone could sleep like this, let alone dream of the future. But that's the point. The discomfort keeps you sharp, half awake, ready for the gods to drop a cryptic PowerPoint presentation into your brain. You're not just sleeping. You're on a mission. And as the torches dim, you feel the first tug of drowsiness, like the Nile pulling you downstream. What's waiting in that dreamscape? You'll find out soon enough. But for now, you're stuck on this stone, chasing visions that could change an empire, or at least make for a good story tomorrow. You're still lying on that stone bed, the chill of the limestone seeping into your bones, the faint scent of myrrh lingering from last night's incense. Remember that crocodile dung sunscreen vibe from the pharaoh's bedchamber? Yeah, this is just as intense, but now you're slipping deeper into the why behind it all. The torches are low, their flickers painting the walls with shadows that look like they're whispering secrets. You're not just here to sleep, you're here to dream, and not the kind where you're late for an exam you didn't study for. For the ancient Egyptians, dreams were divine DMs, direct messages from the gods, and you're about to learn why they treated them like royal decrees. In ancient Egypt, dreams weren't random brain static. They were sacred, a hotline to the divine. You're picturing a pharaoh, maybe Hatshepsut, her coal-lined eyes fluttering shut, hoping for a glimpse of tomorrow's Nile flood or a hint about a rival's plot. Mainstream history backs this up. Texts like the Dream Book from the New Kingdom, around 1300 BCE, cataloged dream symbols and their meanings used by priests to guide rulers. A dream of a snake might mean danger. A falcon could signal divine approval. These weren't just bedtime stories, they were strategic intel. You're smirking thinking how your own dreams of flying probably just mean you ate too much pizza. But for the pharaohs, every vision was a potential game changer. Now here's the quirky tidbit. Some Egyptians believed dreams came from the god Bes, a stubby lion-faced deity who guarded sleepers from evil spirits. Imagine him waddling into your dreamscape, waving a knife to scare off nightmares, like a divine bouncer at a cosmic club. Fringe sources even suggest priests might have slipped hallucinogens like blue lotus into the pharaoh's pre-sleep wine to jazz up the visions. No hard evidence, but you're chuckling at the thought of a pharaoh tripping out on a stone bed seeing technicolor gods. Historians still argue whether these vivid dreams were natural or, let's say, chemically enhanced. Did the gods really speak, or were the priests just really good at mixing drinks? You're sinking deeper into this mindset. Now the stone beneath you feeling less like a punishment and more like a conductor. The Egyptians saw the dream world as a parallel realm where the soul or being could slip out and wander. You're imagining your bawbird-like version of you, maybe with better hair flitting through a starry void, bumping into gods like Thoth or Anubis. They believed this realm was as real as the waking world, just harder to navigate. You're trying to wrap your head around it, but it's like scrolling through an ancient Egyptian Reddit thread, half profound, half cryptic. The stone bed with its unyielding surface was supposed to anchor your body while your soul went on this cosmic road trip. Picture yourself as that pharaoh, your mind buzzing with the weight of an empire. You're not just dreaming for fun. You're expected to bring back something useful, like a divine PowerPoint on next year's harvest. The pressure's real. You're chuckling thinking how modern CEOs stress about quarterly reports, but pharaohs had to deal with gods dropping vague metaphors in their sleep. The dream book wasn't just a guide. It was a manual for decoding the god's abstract art. A dream of a river might mean prosperity or a flood. A lion could be strength or a looming enemy. You're starting to see why they needed priests on speed dial to sort this out. Now let's get sensory. The bedchambers, quiet save for the soft crackle of torches and the distant croak of frogs along the Nile. You're wrapped in a linen sheet thin enough to feel the stone's coolness, but soft enough to remind you you're not that hardcore. The air's heavy with meaning, like the gods are watching, waiting to see if you'll crack the code of their dream riddles. You're wondering if you'd even want this gegrueling by day, decoding divine memes by night. The Egyptians believed the gods spoke in symbols, not PowerPoint slides, so every dream was a puzzle. You're half asleep now, the stone's hardness fading as your mind drifts, but you can't shake the feeling that something big's waiting in the dreamscape. This belief in dreams as divine portals wasn't just for pharaohs. Priests, nobles, even commoners looked to their sleep for signs, but the pharaoh's dreams were next level. They carried the weight of Mot, the cosmic order, which you're starting to feel pressing down on you like an extra blanket. If your dream misfired, you might misjudge a war or a harvest, and that's a bad day for everyone. You're picturing a pharaoh waking up sweating, muttering, "Was that a falcon? Or just a weird bird?" The stone bed, though, was the key. Its firmness kept you tethered like a spiritual seatbelt, ensuring your soul didn't get lost in the divine Wi-Fi. You're grinning at the thought of a pharaoh forgetting his dream password and getting locked out of the prophecy server. As you lie there, the boundary between waking and dreaming blurs. The incense swirls, the hieroglyphs on the bed seem to glow. And you're wondering what it'd be like to meet a god in your sleep. Would they be cryptic, like a fortune cookie, or blunt, like a fed-up boss? The Egyptians didn't care, they just wanted the message. You're starting to respect the hustle the way they turned sleep into a sacred mission. The stone bed's not just a quirky artifact, it's a symbol of their obsession with the future, a reminder that even in sleep a pharaoh's work never stopped. You're drifting now, the Nile's rhythm in your ears, ready to cross into the dream world where the gods are waiting with their next cryptic dispatch. You're still stretched out on that stone bed, the cool limestone, now familiar under your back, its faint mineral scent mixing with the lingering myrrh from the bedchamber. Remember that divine Wi-Fi vibe, how your BA was ready to surf the cosmic waves. Now you're about to dive into the rituals that prepped a pharaoh for this dream quest. The torches are dimming their golden glow, softening the hieroglyphs carved into the wall, cobras and ankhs watching you like silent bodyguards. You're not just rolling into bed after a long day of ruling. You're stepping into a sacred performance, a nightly ceremony to coax the gods into spilling their secrets. Before you even think about dreaming, there's work to do. The Egyptians didn't just flop onto their stone slabs and hope for the best. No, you're in the middle of a ritual as choreographed as a TikTok dance, but with way higher stakes. Picture yourself as the pharaoh, your linen kilt, crisp your skin, still tingling from a bath in Nile water, scented with lotus. Priests are circling you, their shaved heads gleaming, chanting low hymns to Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, who's basically the patron saint of dream hacking. You're trying not to smirk as one priest waves a sistruma, jangly rattle, that sounds like an ancient tambourine, because let's be honest, it's giving low-budget horror movie vibes. Mainstream history confirms these pre-sleep rituals were real. Texts from the Middle Kingdom around 2000 BCE describe how pharaohs underwent purification rites before bed to ensure their souls were clean enough for divine meet and greets. You're splashed with holy water, anointed with oils that smell like a desert bloom after rain, and maybe handed a cup of wine laced with herbs, nothing too wild, just enough to ease you into the dream zone. The goal: make your body and mind a worthy vessel for the gods' messages. You're feeling the pressure now, like you're about to take a cosmic SAT, and the gods are grading on a curve. Here's the quirky bit. Some fringe accounts suggest priests burn specific incense blends, like kifi, a mix of 16 ingredients, including honey frankincense and dried crocodile dung. Sounds gross, but they swore it warded off evil spirits and sharpened visions. You're chuckling, imagining a priest muttering, "Trust me, the dung's the secret sauce." No solid proof it was that common, but the recipe's in ancient texts, so someone was burning it. Historians still argue whether these rituals were purely spiritual or if the incense and herbs had mild psychoactive effects, nudging the pharaoh into trippier dreams. Did the gods speak clearer through a kifi haze, or was it all placebo? You're side-eyeing that incense burner, wondering what's in the smoke curling toward you. Now let's paint the scene. You're standing in the bedchamber, the air thick with ritual vibes. A priest hands you a small amulet, maybe a tiny eye of Horus, to clutch as you sleep. It's supposed to keep nightmares at bay, like an ancient dream catcher, but with better branding. You're instructed to face north, remember, that cardinal direction trick from the stone bed's alignment. It's not just for show. It's to sync you with the cosmos, like plugging into the universe's mainframe. You're starting to feel like a spiritual astronaut prepping for launch. The priest's chants grow softer, hypnotic, lulling you toward the stone bed. You lie down, the slabs chill a sharp contrast to the warm oil on your skin, and you're wondering if you're ready for whatever the gods have in store. These rituals weren't just for vibes, they were practical. The Egyptians believed evil spirits could hijack your dreams, slipping in false prophecies like spam emails. The purification, the chants, the amulets, all firewalls to keep your dream Wi-Fi secure. You're picturing a priest double-checking the ritual like it's a pre-flight checklist, because one wrong move and you might dream of a jackal instead of a falcon, and that's a diplomatic crisis waiting to happen. You're grinning at the thought of a pharaoh waking up, panicked, yelling, "Was that a divine jackal or just last night's stew talking?" As you settle onto the bed, the room feels charged like the air before a storm. The priests withdraw their sandals, whispering on the stone floor, leaving you alone with the flickering torches and the weight of expectation. You're not just a ruler now. You're a conduit, a living bridge between Egypt and the divine. The rituals have cleansed you, aligned you, primed you for the dreamscape. You're clutching that amulet, its edges digging into your palm, and you're wondering what it'd be like to actually meet Thoth in your sleep. Would he be all business, handing you a scroll of prophecies, or would he ramble like a professor who lost his lecture notes? You're half joking to yourself, but the thought lingers as your eyelids grow heavy. The stone bed's hardness is grounding, almost meditative. You're starting to get why they chose it. It's not just about durability. It's about keeping you present aware, even as you drift. The rituals have done their job, stripping away the days, chaos leaving you open to the gods' whispers. You're imagining your ba stretching its wings, ready to slip into that starry void you glimpsed last night. The incense is still curling its scent, now softer like a memory of the desert. You're not sure if it's the kai-fi or the chants, but you feel different, calmer, sharper, like you're on the edge of something big. The gods are out there waiting, and you're about to find out what they have to say. You're still sprawled on that stone bed, the amulet's sharp edges pressing into your palm, the faint echo of those sistrum rattles fading like a distant party. The myrrh and maybe a hint of crocodile dung incense from the ritual is still curling in the air, and you're teetering on the edge of sleep, the Nile's soft rhythm outside your window, pulling you deeper. Remember that cosmic Wi-Fi vibe, how the priests prepped you to dial into the divine. Now it's time to explore why that unyielding slab beneath you was more than just a royal flexit, was a mystical tool chosen for its supposed power to channel visions of the future. You're about to find out what made stone the pharaohs' go-to for dream hacking. The bedchamber is quiet now, save for the occasional pop of a torch. You shift, trying to find a position that doesn't make your spine file a formal complaint, but the stone's coolness is oddly grounding. Why stone, though? You're picturing a pharaoh like Ramesses the, all swagger and conquest, choosing this over a cushy pile of linen. The Egyptians believed stone wasn't just rock, it was alive, humming with the earth's own energy. Limestone, granite, alabaster. These weren't random picks. They were seen as conduits, materials that could carry messages from the gods like a cosmic telegraph. You're smirking, thinking it's like they believed stone had better signal strength than straw or wood. Mainstream history gives us a solid clue here. Archaeological finds like the stone beds in Tutankhamun's tomb from 1323 BCE show they were often carved from single blocks, polished to a mirror sheen and etched with protective symbols. These beds weren't just furniture. They were sacred tech designed to keep the pharaoh's soul tethered while it wandered the dreamscape. The stone's durability symbolized eternity, a nod to the pharaoh's divine status. You're lying there, feeling the weight of that idea, like you're not just sleeping, but plugging into something ancient and unbreakable. Now here's the quirky tidbit. Some fringe scholars claim certain stones, like granite from Aswan, were chosen for their faint radioactive properties. Yep, you heard that, radioactive. The theory goes that low-level radiation might be tweaked the pharaoh's brainwaves, making dreams feel more vivid or prophetic. It's a stretch, and most Egyptologists roll their eyes at it, but you're chuckling, imagining a pharaoh glowing faintly under the covers like a low-budget sci-fi hero. Historians still argue whether the stone's supposed mystical properties were purely symbolic, or if the Egyptians noticed something empirical, like a placebo effect on steroids. Did granite really spark clearer dreams, or was it just the ultimate status symbol? Picture the stone itself. You're running your fingers over its surface, smooth as glass but cold as the Nile at dawn. The hieroglyphs carved into Itank's scarabs, maybe a sneaky falcon seam to pulse in the torchlight like they're whispering secrets. The Egyptians thought stone held the memory of the earth formed over eons, making it the perfect bridge to the eternal gods. You're starting to get it. A soft bed might let you snooze, but this slab keeps you sharp, almost hyper-aware, like you're meditating with your eyes closed. It's less about comfort and more about staying plugged into the cosmos, ready for whatever Thoth or Osiris decides to DM you. Let's lean into the sensory details. The bed's edges are precise, carved by artisans who probably muttered curses under their breath while chiseling. You're imagining the quarry where this stone came from, workers hauling it under the blistering sun, all so you could lie here chasing divine PowerPoints. The room feels heavy, not just with incense, but with purpose. You're not just a pharaoh. You're a cosmic antenna, and this stone is your receiver. You're joking to yourself, wondering if the gods ever sent a message, failed to deliver notice. But the thought fades as the beds chill, seeps deeper, grounding you in a way that's almost hypnotic. The stone's properties weren't just about mysticism. They were practical too. Bugs hated it, unlike reed mats that turned into insect motels. It stayed cool in Egypt's brutal heat, a small mercy when you're sweating through your linen. But more than that, it was about focus. You're feeling it now, the way the hardness forces you to stay present like a yoga instructor, whispering breathe through the discomfort. The Egyptians believed this clarity helped the bathe at bird-like soul you're getting chummy with navigate the dream world without getting lost. You're picturing your ba flapping through a starry void, dodging sketchy spirits, all thanks to this rock-solid anchor. Now you're wondering how they even slept on these things. No pillows, just a curved headrest that looks like a torture device for your neck. Some texts suggest they use thin linen pads, but nothing too plush comfort was the enemy of prophecy. You're chuckling, imagining a pharaoh waking up with a crick in his neck, grumbling, divine vision. Sure, but can I get a chiropractor? The stone's role was to keep you in that liminal space, half awake, half dreaming, where the gods could slip in. You're starting to respect the hustle it's, like pulling an all-nighter for a divine Zoom call. Except the stakes are an empire, not a deadline. As you lie there, the bedchamber feels like a capsule sealing you off from the world. The stone's coolness is soothing now, almost like it's pulling you into its own rhythm. You're thinking about those fringe theories again, the ones about granite's faint buzz. Maybe it's nonsense, but there's something about this slab that feels alive, like it's humming with secrets older than the pyramids. The torches are nearly out their light, a faint glow, and you're drifting the line between waking and dreaming, blurring like ink in water. The stone's got you holding you steady as your ba prepares to take flight. Whatever's waiting in that dreamscape, you're ready, or at least you hope you are. You're still lying on that stone bed, the cool limestone now a familiar ache against your back. The faint hum of the Nile outside blending with the memory of that kifi incense, crocodile dung, and all still tickling your nose. Remember how the stone felt alive, like a cosmic antenna tuning you into the god's frequency. You've been purified, anointed, and aligned your be ready to wing its way into the dreamscape. Now you're not just in your bedchamber. You're crossing a threshold, stepping into the sacred sanctuaries where pharaohs went to dream their futures. These weren't just fancy bedrooms. They were temples of sleep built to cradle the divine visions you're chasing. Picture yourself being led from your palace, the night air sharp with desert chill. Your bare feet brushing polished stone floors. You're heading to a special place, a sanctuary tucked inside a temple complex, maybe at Karnak or Memphis, where the walls are thick with gods, faces their eyes painted in kohl and lapis watching your every step. These sleep temples or houses of rest were like VIP lounges for prophetic dreams. You're smirking, imagining a neon sign outside that says, "Dreams of the future, pharaohs only." The air here is heavier charged, like the gods are already clocking in for their night shift. Mainstream history gives us a glimpse archaeological evidence like inscriptions from the Ptolemaic period around 300 BCE mention sleep temples where pharaohs and high priests sought divine guidance. These weren't open to just anyone, only the elite, those deemed worthy of the gods' DMs, could enter. You're picturing a low, dim chamber, its ceiling studded with painted stars mimicking the night sky. The stone bed here is even grander than the one in your palace, maybe inlaid with turquoise or gold, its hieroglyphs whispering spells to keep your soul safe. You lie down the slabs, chill hitting you like a splash of Nile water, and you're wondering how anyone could relax in a place this intense. Here's the quirky bit. Some fringe texts claim these temples had acoustic trick-scurved walls or hidden channels that amplified priest chants, creating a hypnotic hum to lull you into a dream state. Think of it as ancient surround sound vibing you into prophecy mode. No hard proof, but you're chuckling, imagining a priest tweaking the reverb like a DJ at a cosmic rave. Historians still argue whether these temples were purely ritualistic or if their Dezen acoustics, star-aligned ceilings, had a practical effect on dreaming. Did the setup really boost visions, or was it just a sacred flex to impress the gods? Let's sink into the scene. You're in the sleep temple now, the air thick with frankincense, the torches casting long shadows that dance like spirits. The bed is carved directly into the floor, rooted to the earth, its surface polished so smooth you can see your reflection in it, kinda creepy, like your own ghost staring back. Priests are nearby, but silent now, their earlier chants replaced by a low drone that vibrates in your chest. You're clutching that Eye of Horus amulet, its weight reassuring, and you're trying not to overthink the fact that you're basically napping in a sacred Wi-Fi hotspot. The temple's walls are alive with reliefs, Anubis with his jackal head, Isis spreading her wings, all reminding you that this isn't just sleep, it's a mission. The Egyptians believed these sanctuaries were liminal spaces halfway between the mortal world and the divine. You're feeling it now, the way the stone bed anchors you, while the temple's vibe pulls you upward like you're floating and grounded at once. The star-painted ceiling above seems to pulse each pinprick of light, a god's eye watching, waiting. You're joking to yourself, wondering if the gods ever forget their lines, leaving you with a dream that's just static. But the setup here, the stone, the chants, the starlight, makes you believe something's coming. You're not just a pharaoh. You're a cosmic intern clocking in for a shift in the dream factory. These temples weren't just for show. They were built with precision, often aligned with celestial events like the solstice or the rising of Sirius the star, tied to the Nile's flood. You're imagining architects sweating over papyrus blueprints, making sure every angle was God-approved. The stone bed's placement was key north-facing, of course, to tap into that magnetic mojo you're starting to buy into. You're picturing your ba stretching its wings, ready to slip through the temple's starry ceiling into the dreamscape. The priests have done their job, setting the stage, but now it's on you to deliver. No pressure, right? You're grinning, thinking how modern sleep apps would kill for this kind of setup. No white noise machine needed when you've got a temple humming with divine energy. As you settle deeper into the bed, the sanctuary feels like a cocoon. The air's so still you can hear your own heartbeat syncing with the faint drone of the priest chants echoing off the walls. You're wondering what it'd be like to dream here, surrounded by gods carved in stone, their presence so close it's like they're breathing down your neck. Would you see a falcon soaring over a flooded Nile, or a shadowy figure plotting betrayal? The Egyptians believed these temples amplified the gods, signals making dreams clearer, sharper. You're starting to feel it. Toothstones chill the starlight, the humets all pulling you toward sleep, but not the cozy kind. This is sleep with a purpose, sleep that could change an empire. You're ready, or at least you hope so, as the dreamscape beckons. You're still stretched out on that stone bed, the temple's starry ceiling above you, twinkling like a cosmic disco ball, the faint hum of priestly chants from the sleep sanctuary still vibrating in your chest. Remember that eye of Horus amulet, you're clutching its edges, digging into your palm like a reminder to stay sharp. You're not just drifting off in some sacred Wi-Fi hotspot. You're about to cross into the dreamscape where the gods themselves are waiting to drop cryptic visions into your mind. The air's thick with frankincense, the stones chill, seeping deeper, and you're wondering who or what you'll meet in this divine chat room. This isn't just sleep. It's a face-to-face with the deities who steer Egypt's fate. As your eyelids grow heavy, the dream world opens like a curtain parting. You're not in the temple anymore. You're somewhere else, a shimmering void where the Nile's waters flow upward into a sky of molten gold. The gods are here, and they're not shy. First up is Thoth, the ibis-headed scribe, his beak sharp as a quill, scribbling your fate on a scroll that never ends. Then there's Isis, her wings casting shadows that feel like a warm blanket, whispering promises of protection. You're half expecting Anubis to pop up with his jackal grin, but you're hoping he's off duty tonight. No need for death vibes in this dream. You're chuckling, imagining the gods arguing over who gets to headline your vision, like divas at a cosmic talent show. Mainstream history backs this up. Egyptian texts, like the Book of the Dead from around 1550 BCE, describe gods appearing in dreams to deliver messages or warnings. Pharaohs believed these encounters weren't just imagination. They were real, as tangible as a papyrus decree. You're picturing yourself as a pharaoh, maybe Akhenaten, nodding respectfully to Thoth, while secretly hoping he doesn't assign you dream homework. These gods weren't just symbols. They were active players in the pharaoh's sleep, guiding him through visions that could mean a bountiful harvest or a war on the horizon. You're feeling the weight of that now lying on this stone slab, knowing every dream could be a divine PowerPoint with empire-sized stakes. Here's the quirky tidbit: some fringe sources suggest the god Bez, that pint-sized lion-faced dream bouncer, didn't just guard against nightmare. She sometimes pranked dreamers with weird visions to test their wisdom. Picture him sneaking a dancing hippo into your dream just to see if you'd panic or laugh. No solid evidence, but you're giggling, imagining Bess high-fiving Thoth after trolling a pharaoh with a nonsense prophecy. Historians still argue whether these divine encounters were genuine spiritual events or psychological projections fueled by ritual and expectation. Did the gods really show up, or were pharaohs just hyped up on incense and their own hype? You're side-eyeing the starry ceiling, wondering if you're about to meet a god or just dream of last night's falafel. Let's dive into the dreamscape. You're floating now, the stone bed's hardness fading as your bathed bird-like soul. You're getting fond of soars through a landscape of shifting sands and glowing rivers. Thoth is pointing at his scroll, showing you symbols: a falcon, a lotus, a coiled snake. You're trying to keep up, but it's like decoding a divine emoji chain. Isis hovers nearby, her voice soft but firm, urging you to remember every detail. You're feeling like a cosmic intern again, scribbling mental notes while praying you don't flunk this divine pop quiz. The dreamscape feels alive, its colors sharper than the waking world, its air buzzing with meaning. You're wondering if this is what the pharaohs felt, half awed, half stressed, like they're auditioning for the gods' favor. The gods' roles were specific. Thoth was the brains delivering prophecies with the precision of a tax auditor. Isis was the heart offering protection and nudging you toward wisdom. Others, like Horus or Hathor, might pop in depending on the dreams, vibe war, or love victory or warning. You're picturing a pharaoh waking up sweaty and wide-eyed, muttering, "Okay, Thoth." But what does the snake mean? You're grinning, because even with divine Wi-Fi, the signal's not always clear. The stone bed, though, keeps you grounded its coolness, a reminder that you're still tethered to the temple, even as your Ba dances with deities. Now let's get sensory. The dreamscape smells like ozone and lotus, a mix of storm and bloom. The air feels electric, like you're standing on the edge of a cliff with a breeze that could carry you away. Thoth's scroll glows faintly, its hieroglyphs shifting like they're alive, and you're straining to read them, wishing you'd paid more attention in ancient Egyptian Duolingo. Isis wings brush your shoulders soft but heavy, like a promise you can't break. You're joking to yourself, wondering if the gods ever forget their lines or get stage fright, but their presence is undeniable. The stone bed's faint hum reel, or imagined encores, you keeping your Ba from getting lost in this cosmic PowerPoint. These divine encounters weren't just for show, they shaped Egypt. A dream from Thoth could push a pharaoh to build a temple or launch a campaign. You're imagining the stakes, how one vague vision could shift the Nile's fate. The temple's starry ceiling, the stone's chill, the god's whisper sits, all part of the package designed to make you a better ruler, or at least a better dream intern. You're drifting deeper now, the dreamscape's edges softening, but you're holding tight to that amulet, hoping Isis keeps Bess and his prank hippos at bay. The gods are still here watching, and you're ready, or at least you're faking it for whatever they've got next. You're still floating in that dreamscape, the starry void pulsing around you, Thoth's glowing scroll fading as Isis wings brush your shoulder one last time. Back in the temple, the stone bed's chill anchors you, its faint hum syncing with your heartbeat, pulling you back from that cosmic meeting with the gods. Remember that dancing hippo Bez might be sneaked into your vision. You're shaking off the dreams, haze blinking into the dim light of the sleep sanctuary, where the air still smells of frankincense and purpose. Now you're not just waking up, you're stepping into the priest's world, where those cryptic divine emojis need decoding. The gods have spoken, but it's the priests who turn their riddles into something you can actually use. You're sitting up on the stone bed, the linen sheet slipping off your amulet, still warm from your grip. A priest is already there, his shaved head catching the torchlight, his eyes sharp, like he's been up all night, waiting for your report. You're groggy, trying to piece together that falcon snake lotus combo Thoth showed you, and you're half tempted to say, "Can you just Google it for me?" But this is ancient Egypt, and these priests are the Google of their day, part scholar, part mystic, part overworked intern. They're here to interpret your dream, to translate the gods' abstract art into a plan for the kingdom. You're smirking, imagining them with a papyrus titled Dream Symbols for Dummies. Mainstream history gives us a solid anchor. The Dream Book, a New Kingdom text from around 1300 BCE, was like a cheat sheet for priests, listing hundreds of dream symbols and their meanings. A falcon might mean victory. A snake could signal betrayal, and a lotus often tied to rebirth or prosperity. You're picturing the priest flipping through this mental database, cross-referencing your vision like it's a cosmic spreadsheet. These interpretations weren't just guesses, They guided real decisions from planting crops to launching wars. You're feeling the pressure now, knowing your fuzzy dream could mean the difference between a flood or a famine. Here's the quirky tidbit: some fringe sources whisper that priests didn't just interpret dreams, they staged them. They might have slipped you a bit of blue lotus tea before bed, tweaking your brain to see specific symbols like a divine PowerPoint with preloaded slides. No hard proof, but you're chuckling, imagining a priest muttering, "Okay, let's nudge him toward a falcon. Vision King needs a win." Historians still argue whether dream interpretation was pure mysticism or a clever political tool. Were priests genuinely channeling the gods, or were they rigging the dream game to steer the pharaohs? Choices you're side-eyeing the priest, now wondering if he's a spiritual guide or a master manipulator. Let's set the scene. You're in the temple's dim chamber, the star-painted ceiling still winking above you. The priest kneels beside the stone bed, his voice low and soothing, like he's narrating an ASMR video. He asks you to recount every detail, color, shapes, even the vibe of Thoth's scroll. You're stumbling through it, saying, "There was a snake, but like a chill snake." He nods, scribbling on a papyrus. But you can tell he's doing mental gymnastics to make sense of it. The air's thick with tension, the torches casting shadows that look like hieroglyphs dancing on the walls. You're clutching that Eye of Horus amulet, hoping it's still got some divine juice to help you remember. The process is intense. The priest might chant a quick hymn to Thoth, asking for clarity while burning a pinch of Kefi incense. Yep, that crocodile dung special you're still not over. He's piecing together your dream like a puzzle, cross-checking it against the dream book in his own gut. A falcon soaring over a river, probably a good harvest. A snake coiled around a scepter, maybe a rival's plotting. You're joking to yourself, wondering if there's a symbol for forgot to pay the pyramid builders, but the priest's dead serious. His job isn't just to interpret, it's to give you actionable intel, something to tell the court without sparking panic. Now, let's get sensory. The papyrus crackles as the priest writes its dry rustle, mixing with the faint fizz of the torches. The stone beds. Coolness is fading under your body heat, but it still feels like an anchor, keeping you grounded as you relive the dream. The priest's voice is a steady drone, almost hypnotic, guiding you back through the vision like he's rewinding a tape. You're smelling the frankincense sharper now, cutting through the grogginess. The temple feels alive, its walls pulsing with the weight of your dream's meaning. You're starting to see why they took this so seriously. One wrong interpretation, and you might march an army into a trap or ignore a flood warning. The priests weren't just dream decoders. They were advisors, spin doctors, maybe even therapists. They had to balance the god's will with the pharaoh's ego, which, let's be real, was probably bigger than a pyramid. You're imagining a priest tactfully saying, "Great dream, my king," but maybe the snake means diplomacy. You're grinning, picturing the pharaoh nodding like he totally gets it while internally freaking out. The dream book helped, but interpretation was an art, not a science. A bad call could tank the kingdom, and you're feeling that pressure. Now the priest's eyes boring into you like he's waiting for you to drop a bombshell. As the priest finishes, he hands you a scroll with his "Take the falcon" means strength. The lotus suggests renewal, but that snake, watch your back. You're nodding, trying to look regal, but you're wondering if you can trust this guy, or if he's just covering his own sandals. The stone bed's hardness is a reminder that this isn't just a nap, it's a duty. You're carrying the gods, messages filtered through a priest who might be had one too many sips of lotus tea himself. The dreamscape's fading. but its weight lingers, and you're ready to step back into the waking world. Armed with divine intel or at least a good story for the court, you're easing back into the waking world. The stone beds chill now, a familiar sting beneath you. The priest's scroll still warm in your hand. Its ink fresh with warnings about that sneaky snake from your dream. The temple's starry ceiling fades into the torchlit glow, and the faint whiff of frankincense, maybe with a hint of that crocodile dung kiff lingers like a stubborn guest. Remember how the priest's eyes bored into you decoding thoth's cryptic emojis. Now you're stepping out of the sleep sanctuary, your royal sandals slapping the stone floor ready to carry those divine visions into the real world. You're not just a pharaoh, you're a ruler whose dreams could rewrite history, and you're about to see how those nighttime visions shaped Egypt's fate. The morning sun is brutal, glaring off the Nile like it's trying to outshine your divine status. You're striding into the palace courtyard, where scribes and advisors are already buzzing, waiting for your next move. That dream, the falcon, the lotus, the shady snake isn't just a story to share over breakfast. It's a blueprint for action. You're picturing the court, all coal-lined eyes and nervous whispers hanging on your words like they're divine TikToks. The Egyptians believed a pharaoh's dreams could sway harvest wars, or even the god's mood, and you're feeling the weight of that now, like a pyramid parked on your chest. Mainstream history gives us a concrete example. Thutmose IV, around 1400 BCE, claimed a dream on a stone bed led him to clear sand from the Great Sphinx, earning divine favor and legitimizing his rule. The dream stele at Giza still brags about it, carved in stone for all to see. You're imagining Thutmose waking up sweaty and inspired, telling his advisors, "The Sphinx needs a cleanup, Horus said so." That dream wasn't just a vision. It was a political power move, a way to flex divine approval. You're smirking, thinking how modern leaders wish they could pull off a stunt like that with a quick X post. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some fringe texts suggest pharaohs occasionally fudge their dreams for clout, claiming divine visions to justify risky decisions, like building a temple no one could afford, or picking a fight with the Hittites. Picture a pharaoh winking at his scribe, whispering, "Just say Isis told me to invade." No hard evidence, but you're chuckling, imagining the palace gossip. Did he really dream that, or is he just flexing? Historians still argue whether dreams genuinely guided policy or were convenient PR tools. Were pharaohs truly seeing the future, or were they spinning stories to keep the court in line? You're squinting at the scroll in your hand, wondering if your own dream's legit or just priestly spin. Let's paint the scene. You're standing in the throne room, gold gleaming on your collar, the air thick with tension as advisors lean in. You recount the dream, the falcon soaring, the lotus blooming, the snake hissing. The scribes scribble furiously, while a general shifts nervously, probably worried about that snake bit. You're trying to sound confident, but you're second-guessing yourself, wondering if Thoth's scroll was a prophecy or just a divine fever dream. The stone bed's hardness still lingers in your bones, a reminder of the night's work, and you're hoping the priest got the interpretation right. One wrong move and you could tank the harvest or spark a rebellion. These dreams didn't just influence policy, they shaped Egypt's soul. A vision of a bountiful Nile could mean doubling down on irrigation projects. A dark omen might push you to appease the gods with a new temple. You're picturing the ripple effects, farmers planting extra barley, priests chanting overtime, soldiers sharpening their spears. It's like your dream's a pebble tossed into the Nile, sending waves across the kingdom. You're joking to yourself, wondering if a bad dream ever led to a pharaoh panic ordering 1,000 goats for sacrifice, but the stakes are real. One misinterpreted vision, and you're explaining to the gods why the crops failed. Now, let's get sensory. The throne room smells of polished cedar and sweat, the advisors' linen robes rustling as they whisper theories about your dream. The scroll in your hand feels heavy, its papyrus rough against your fingers, the ink's faint tang mixing with the morning air. You're still feeling the stone beds echo its unyielding surface, a contrast to the plush cushions around you. The court's eyes are on you expectant, like you're about to drop a divine TED Talk. You're channeling that pharaoh energy standing tall, but inside you're wondering if the snake means war or just a bad batch of lotus tea. The impact of these dreams wasn't just immediate, it was lasting. A pharaoh like Hatshepsut might be dreamed of trade routes leading to expeditions to Punt that brought back gold and incense. You're imagining her waking up, inspired, telling her court, "Pack the ships. Isis says we're going shopping." You're grinning, picturing the logistics nightmare, but it worked. Her reign was a golden age. The stone bed, the temple, the priest's chants, they all fed into this dream-driven governance where visions weren't just fluff, but fuel for an empire. You're starting to respect the hustle, how a single night's sleep could shift history's gears. As you address the court, the falcon lotus snake dream feels heavier, like it's carrying Egypt's future. You're not just relaying a vision, you're setting a course. The advisors nod, the scribes keep writing, and you're hoping Thoth's got your back. The stone bed's role is clearer now. It wasn't just a slab, but a stage, a place where dreams became policy. You're stepping out of the throne room, the Nile glinting outside, and you're wondering how many of Egypt's triumphs or disasters started with a pharaoh's restless night. The dreamscape's echoes linger, and you're ready to see what else this stone bed has in store. You're stepping away from the throne room, the weight of that falcon lotus snake dream still clinging to you, like the morning's heat, the priest's scroll tucked under your arm, as the Nile's glitter fades behind you. Remember that Thutmose IV flex, claiming a dream got him Sphinx cleaning cred. You're back in the bedchamber now, the stone bed waiting like an old friend, who's secretly a taskmaster. The air's still tinged with frankincense, maybe a whiff of that questionable kifi, and you're running your fingers over the beds, carved hieroglyphs, sanks, scarabs of falcon that seems to smirk. This isn't just a slab. It's a masterpiece of craftsmanship, built to channel divine Wi-Fi and withstand eternity. You're about to dive into the artistry and engineering behind these mystical beds, the unsung heroes of your prophetic naps. Picture yourself inspecting the bed up close. It's not some random rockets, a single block of limestone or granite quarried from places like Aswan, where workers toiled under a sun that could fry a scarab. The surface is polished to a sheen, smooth enough to reflect the torchlight, its edges so precise you're wondering if the artisans had alien-level tools. Hieroglyphs curl around its sides, spells of protection woven into every line like a divine warranty for your soul's nightly road trip. You're smirking, imagining an artisan chiseling away, muttering, "This better get me a good afterlife review." The bed's not just functional, it's a work of art, a statement that screams, "Im divine, and my dreams shape empires." Mainstream history backs this up. Beds found in tombs, like Tutankhamun's, from around 1323 BCE, were crafted with insane precision, often inlaid with gold, ebony, or turquoise. These weren't slapped together by some ancient IKEA. They were bespoke, built by master craftsmen who knew their work would outlast dynasties. The stone was chosen for its durability and symbolic heft, tying the pharaoh to the eternal earth. You're lying back down now, feeling the bed's coolness, and it's like touching history itself, every scratch and polish a testament to the hands that made it. This bed's not just for sleeping. It's a throne for your ba to launch into the dreamscape. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some fringe sources whisper that these beds were tuned like instruments, their dimensions calculated to resonate with specific vibrations, maybe even the Earth's magnetic field. Think of it as ancient feng shui, on steroids, aligning your dreams with cosmic frequencies. No hard proof, but you're chuckling, picturing a craftsman with a tuning fork muttering needs more prophetic reverb. Historians still argue whether the bed's design was purely symbolic or had a practical, almost scientific purpose. Did the precise cuts and alignments amplify dreams, or was it all about looking regal while you snored? Let's get sensory. You're tracing the hieroglyphs with your fingertip, their grooves smooth but deliberate, like the stones telling a story. The bed surface is cold, almost shocking against your skin, but it warms where you touch it like it's learning your shape. The torchlight catches flecks of quartz in the granite, sparkling like tiny stars, and you're wondering if the artisans meant to mimic the temple's starry ceiling. The room smells of dust and oil, the faint tang of metal from tools long gone. You're imagining the quarry sweat-soaked workers, the clink of chisels, the groan of ropes hauling this slab across the desert. It's humbling knowing this bed was born from such labor, all so you could chase divine PowerPoints. The craftsmanship wasn't just about aesthetics, it was spiritual engineering. The bed's north-south alignment, that cardinal direction trick you're starting to respect, was carved with purpose, syncing you with the cosmos. Some beds had curved headrests, not for comfort, but to cradle your neck, keeping your head aligned with the stars. You're joking to yourself, wondering if the artisans ever tested these beds lying down and thinking, nope, still not cozy. But comfort wasn't the point, focus was. The stone's hardness kept you alert, your ba ready to slip into the dreamscape without getting lost in a plush haze. Now picture the process. Artisans started with a raw block, maybe 5 tons of granite chipped away over months. They used copper tool sand for polishing and a whole lot of patience. The hieroglyphs weren't just decor, they were spells invoking gods like Horus or Osiris to guard your dreams. You're imagining a master craftsman, his hands calloused, double-checking every line like it's a divine contract. The bed's weight, its permanence mirrors the pharaoh's role, unmovable, eternal, a bridge between worlds. You're feeling that now, lying here, the stone's solid presence grounding you, as your mind drifts toward Thoth's starry void. These beds were also status symbols. Only the elite got stone peasants made, do with reeds or mud bricks. You're picturing a noble eyeing your bed, jealous thinking, I'd dream better on that. The craftsmanship screamed power, its inlays of gold or ivory shouting chosen by the gods. But it was practical. Two stone didn't rot, didn't burn, didn't let bugs set up shop. You're grinning, imagining a pharaoh bragging, my bed's pest-proof and prophecy ready. The artisans knew their work was sacred, each chisel mark a prayer for the pharaoh's success and their own immortality. As you settle deeper into the bed, the hieroglyphs seem to glow their curves, catching the torchlight like they're alive. You're wondering about those fringe vibration theories again. Maybe the stone's hum is real, syncing your pulse with the earth's. The bed's not just a slab, it's a machine, a cosmic anchor built to carry you to the gods and back. You're ready to drift again, the artisan's skill lingering in your mind. Their work, a silent partner in your dream quest. The Nile's rhythm calls outside, and you're slipping toward sleep, the stones chill, a promise that history itself is holding you steady. You're back on that stone bed, its polished surface now, as familiar as the ache in your shoulders. The hieroglyph sanks, falcons, that smirking scarab still, glowing faintly under the torchlight. The Nile's soft rhythm hums outside, mixing with the memory of that frankincense-heavy air. And the artisan's chisel marks you can still feel under your fingertips. Remember how those craftsmen turned a raw slab into a cosmic antenna. Now you're diving deeper, not into the bed's design, but into the pharaoh's training, the mental and spiritual boot camp they endured to master the art of dreaming the future. You're not just lying here. You're prepping for a divine marathon, and the gods don't hand out medals for participation. Picture yourself as a young pharaoh, maybe a teen like Tutankhamun, barely old enough to rule, but already expected to pull prophecies from your sleep like a divine PowerPoint presentation. It's not enough to lie on this stone slab and hope for the best. You've been trained, drilled, practically programmed to dream with purpose. The priests, those overworked cosmic interns, aren't just your interpreters. They're your coaches, teaching you how to navigate the dreamscape like it's a sacred obstacle course. You're smirking, imagining a priest barking, "Focus, kid, or Thoth's gonna bench you." This is serious business. Your dreams could steer Egypt's fate, and you're not allowed to phone it in. Mainstream history gives us a glimpse, text from the New Kingdom, around 1550, Choton 70. BCE describe how pharaohs were schooled in rituals and meditation to sharpen their dream recall. They didn't just sleep. They practiced learning to control their minds, to stay lucid enough to wrestle meaning from the gods' cryptic visions. You're picturing yourself in a temple classroom surrounded by scrolls, a priest droning on about lotus symbolism while you doodle a falcon in the margins. The training wasn't just spiritual, it was mental discipline, like yoga for your soul, designed to keep your BI from wandering off into a pointless dream about, say, a dancing hippo. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some fringe sources claim pharaohs used fasting or sleep deprivation before big dream sessions to heighten their visions, like ancient biohackers chasing a prophetic high. Picture you skipping dinner, stomach growling, just to see Thoth's scroll in HD. No solid proof, but you're chuckling, imagining a priest saying, "No bread, no visions, deal with it." Historians still argue whether this training was purely psychological or if practices like fasting actually altered brain chemistry, making dreams feel more divine. Did hunger sharpen the pharaoh's focus? Or was it just another ritual to make them feel special? You're rubbing your stomach, hoping tonight's dream doesn't require skipping dessert. Let's set the scene. You're in the temple, not the sleep sanctuary, but a smaller chamber, its walls lined with papyrus scrolls and flickering oil lamps. A priest is guiding you through a meditation, his voice low and rhythmic, like an ASMR track for aspiring prophets. "Breathe," he says. "Visualize the Nile. See your Ba, rising like a falcon." You're trying not to roll your eyes. This feels like ancient mindfulness apps. But you're also feeling it, the way your mind sharpens the stone. Beds chill, anchoring you. The training includes chanting, visualization, even staring at hieroglyphs, until they dance in your vision, all to prime you for the dreamscape. You're joking to yourself, wondering if there's a divine certificate, for advanced dream navigation. The training wasn't just about focus, it was about control. You're taught to recognize dream symbols on sight. A snake means danger. A lotus is renewal. A falcon screams victory. The priests drill these into you like flashcards, so when Thoth shows up with his glowing scroll, you're not fumbling like a cosmic intern who forgot the memo. You're picturing young Rameses, Seu, all swagger, practicing his dream recall by reciting visions to a priest who's probably thinking, "Kid, slow down, I'm still on the snake part." The stone bed plays a role here too. Its hardness keeps you alert, forcing you to stay half awake, ready to steer your ba through the god's obstacle course. Now let's get sensory. The temple chamber smells of wax and old papyrus, the air cool but heavy with expectation. The stone bed, where you're practicing tonight, feels like an old friend, its surface smooth but unyielding, like it's judging your focus. The priest's voice is a steady hum, blending with the distant croak of frogs along the Nile. You're holding that eye of Horus amulet, its edges worn from years of clutching, and it's like a tether to the waking world. You're visualizing the dreamscape, now golden rivers, starry void, trying to hold the image steady, but your mind keeps wandering to that lotus tea you had earlier. You're grinning, wondering if the gods ever flunk a pharaoh for daydreaming in class. This training wasn't just for show, it was survival. A pharaoh who couldn't dream right might misread a vision leading to a bad harvest or a lost battle. You're feeling the stakes now lying here, the temple's quiet pressing in. The priests taught you to stay lucid, to question the dream, even as you're in it like a divine detective. You're imagining yourself facing Thoth, saying, "Cool scroll, but what's the snake deal?" The stone bed's chill keeps you grounded, a reminder that this isn't just sleep, it's a mission. You're starting to respect the grind, how pharaohs turned dreaming into a skill, not a fluke. As the priest's voice fades, you're slipping towards sleep, the training humming in your mind, ready to meet the gods with your game face on. You're back on that stone bed, its familiar chill, now a steady hum beneath you, the temple's air still carrying the faint tang of wax and papyrus from your dream training sessions. Remember those priests drilling you like a cosmic drill sergeant, teaching you to spot Thoth's falcon or dodge Bess prank hippos. You're slipping into sleep now, the eye of Horus amulet warm in your hand. But your mind's buzzing with a new question. How did your royal dream quests stack up against the average Egyptian's bedtime? You're not just a pharaoh chasing divine PowerPoints. You're about to see how the commoners, the farmers and weavers approach their own dreams, and why your stone slab was a world apart from their reed mats. Picture yourself stepping out of the temple, the starry ceiling fading as you blink into the morning sun, the Nile glinting like it's showing off. You're strolling through a village, past mud brick houses, where workers are already kneading dough or hauling water. These folks don't have stone beds or sleep sanctuaries. They're sprawled on woven reed mats, maybe with a lumpy headrest that looks like it was designed by a sadist. You're smirking, imagining a farmer muttering, "If I dream of a falcon, I'm still not getting a day off." But dreams mattered to them too, not for ruling empires, but for surviving floods, plagues, or a bad barley crop. You're wondering how their sleep compared to yours, a pharaoh with a direct line to Thoth. Mainstream history confirms that dreams were a big deal across Egyptian society. The Dream Book, that New Kingdom text from around 1300 BCE, wasn't just for priests and pharaohs. Commoners used it too, or at least versions of it passed down through oral tradition. A farmer dreaming of a cow might take it as a sign of fertility. A weaver, seeing a snake, might brace for betrayal. You're picturing a village elder squinting at a sleepy farmer's story, saying cows good plant more grain. Unlike your royal visions, their dreams were practical, tied to daily survival, not divine mandates. Your stone bed with its cosmic Wi-Fi was a luxury they couldn't afford, both in cost and in stakes. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some fringe sources suggest commoners used dream incubation rituals too, but on a budget. Instead of sleep temples, they'd nap near local shrines, maybe leaving an offering of bread or beer to nudge the gods for a vision. Picture a potter dozing by a small statue of Bess, hoping for a dream about a good market day. You're chuckling, imagining him waking up thinking, "Thanks, Bess, but a hippo sales. Not what I meant." Historians still argue whether these folk practices were as structured as royal rituals or just hopeful superstition. Did commoners' dreams carry real weight, or were they grasping at divine straws? You're glancing at your stone bed, feeling a little smug about your VIP dream setup. Let's paint the scene. You're in a farmer's hut, now the air thick with the smell of baked bread and Nile mud. The reed mat beneath you is scratchy nothing like your polished granite slab, and the headrest digs into your neck like it's staging a protest. Outside, goats bleat, and kids shout, making the temple's silence feel like a distant dream itself. The farmer's wife is whispering about her dream, lotus blooming in the river, and you're nodding, remembering your own lotus vision, but hers is about hoping her baby thrives, not about cosmic renewal. You're starting to see the gap. Your dreams steer empires. Theirs keep families fed. The commoners didn't have priests on speed dial, but they had their own hacks. They'd pray to Bess or Hathor before bed, maybe burn a pinch of cheap incense, not that kaifi nonsense with crocodile dung. You're joking to yourself, wondering if their gods took budget requests like Hathor I've got 2 figs hook me up with a dream. They'd share their visions at dawn, huddled around a fire swapping stories, like an ancient dream podcast. A snake might mean a neighbor's gossip. A falcon could promise a good harvest. You're feeling the contrast now. Your stone beds, a sacred stage, their mats a humble prayer for survival. Now, let's get sensory. The hut's walls are rough sun-baked mud, the air heavy with dust, and the faint sweetness of dates. The reed mat crinkles under you, its weave poking through your linen, and you're missing the stone bed's cool solid embrace. A clay lamp flickers, its oil smell sharp, nothing like the temple's frankincense glow. You're hearing the Niles lap the same rhythm as in your palace, but here it's mixed with the hum of village life donkeys, chatter the clink of pottery. You're clutching a crude amulet, not your fancy eye of Horus, and it's rough carved by someone's uncle, not a master artisan. Yet it carries the same hope, a good dream, a better tomorrow. The divide wasn't just material, it was spiritual. Your training, those hours of meditation and symbol drilling, gave you an edge like a pro athlete versus a weekend jogger. Commoners relied on instinct folklore, maybe a local wise woman who knew the dream book by heart. You're imagining a pharaoh like Hatshepsut, her dreams shaping trade routes, while a farmer's dream might just get him to plant an extra row of onions. But the belief was the same. Dreams were messages, whether from Thoth or a local shrine's knockoff god. You're starting to respect their hustle, how they chased visions without stone beds or starry ceilings, just faith and a rickety mat. As you leave the hut, the village fading into the desert's haze, you're back on your stone bed, its hardness a privilege now. The temple's quiet wraps around you, the Nile's rhythm calling you back to sleep. You're wondering how many dreams, royal or common-shaped Egypt's story, from pyramids to barley fields. The gods don't discriminate, but your setup, this carved slab, gives you a front-row seat to their whispers. You're ready to drift again, the commoner's humble faith lingering in your mind, their dreams a quiet echo of your own divine mission. You're back on that stone bed, its cool, polished surface now as familiar as the weight of your Eye of Horus amulet, the faint scent of village dust and baked bread from that farmer's hut still lingering in your memory. The temple's starry ceiling twinkles above the Nile's rhythm, a steady hum outside, tying you back to the cosmic mission you've been chasing. Remember those commoners dreaming on reed mats, hoping for a glimpse of a better harvest. You're a pharaoh again, your stone slab, a VIP pass to the divine. But now you're wondering, were those dreams of falcons and snakes really prophetic? Or just wishful thinking dressed up in divine cosplay? You're diving into the debate over whether these visions actually predicted Egypt's future or were just ancient hype. Picture yourself in the palace, the morning sun slicing through the columns, your advisors huddled around like they're waiting for you to drop a divine bombshell. You're clutching that scroll from the priest, the one decoding your latest dream falcon for strength, lotus for renewal, snake for trouble. You're trying to play it cool, but inside, you're wondering if Thoth's cryptic slideshow was a legit glimpse of tomorrow, or just your brain remixing last night's lotus tea. The court's eyes are on you, expecting a prophecy to guide the Nile's next flood, or fend off a Hittite invasion. You're smirking, thinking how modern leaders would kill for a dream to justify their next budget cut. Mainstream history gives us a solid anchor, the dream stele of Thutmose IV, carved around 1400 BCE, claims his dream on a stone bed led to clearing the Great Sphinx, a move that solidified his rule. That's hard evidence dreams influenced action, but did they predict the future? You're picturing Thutmose waking up, inspired, telling his scribes, Horus has cleaned the Sphinx, and am not arguing. The stele's real, still standing at Giza, but whether his dream was a true prophecy or a savvy political stunt is anyone's guess. You're feeling the pressure now, knowing your own dream could spark a temple-building spree or a war you're not ready for. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some fringe scholars suggest Pharaoh's dreams were sometimes confirmed by oracles or omens, like priests reading animal entrails to back up a shaky vision. Imagine a priest slicing open a goat, nodding sagely and saying, "Yep, that falcon dream checks out." You're chuckling, picturing the priest sweating, hoping the guts align with your story, like an ancient fact-checker with a side of gore. Historians still argue whether these dreams were genuinely prophetic or just psychological tools amplified by ritual and expectation. Did the gods send accurate futures? Or were pharaohs and priests projecting their hopes onto vague visions? You're glancing at your amulet, wondering if it's a divine hotline or just a fancy placebo. Let's set the scene. You're in the throne room, the air heavy with cedar and tension, your advisors whispering as you recount your dream. The stone bed's chill still lingers in your bones, a reminder of the night's work. The priest who decoded your vision is nearby, his papyrus crinkling as he double-checks his notes. You're describing the falcon soaring over a golden Nile, but that snake keeps nagging at you. Was it a warning or just a random brain glitch? The court's hanging on your words, and you're trying not to sound like you're making it up. You're joking to yourself, wondering if you could claim a dream about a new pyramid to dodge a boring meeting. The debate over accuracy isn't just academic's, it's personal. If your dream's wrong, You might misjudge a harvest, leaving farmers starving, or march into a battle you can't win. You're imagining the fallout, the court muttering, maybe the gods meant a different snake. The priests lean on the dream book, but it's not foolproof. Symbols like snakes could mean 10 things from betrayal to wisdom. You're starting to see why they layered on the rituals, the stone beds, the incense. It was all to boost the signal, to make you believe the gods were dropping truth bombs, not riddles. You're picturing a pharaoh like Ramesses II, squinting at his priests, saying, "You sure about this lotus thing? Now let's get sensory." The throne room smells of polished stone and nervous sweat. The advisors' linen robes rustling like dry leaves. The scroll in your hand feels brittle. Its ink, sharp, with the priest's hurried script. The stone bed's echo is still in your back, its hardness a contrast to the plush cushions around you. Outside the Nile's lap is a steady pulse, grounding you as you wrestle with the dream's meaning. You're clutching that amulet, its edges worn smooth, and it's like a lifeline to the gods, or maybe just to your own confidence. The torchlight flickers, casting shadows that look like falcons, and you're wondering if it's a sign or just your eyes playing tricks. The debate's not just about one dream, it's about trust. If you act on a vision and it flops, the court might doubt your divine mandate. You're imagining Hatshepsut, her trade expedition to Punt, sparked by a dream coming back with gold and glory. But what if she dreamed wrong? You're feeling the stakes the way a single vision could tip Egypt's scales. The stone bed, the temple, the priests, they're all part of a system to make dreams feel real, to turn fuzzy images into policy. You're grinning, picturing a modern CEO trying to pitch a merger based on a dream, but for the pharaohs, this was standard operating procedure. As you leave the throne room, the dream's weight lingers, and you're ready to test its truth on the next stone-bound night. You're back on that stone bed, its unyielding chill, now a steady companion. The faint flicker of torchlight dancing across the hieroglyphs' falcons. Snakes, that cheeky scarab that seem to watch you as you settle in. The Nile's rhythm hums outside a distant echo of the throne rooms. Tension, where you wrestled with that falcon lotus snake dream and wondered if it was divine truth or just priestly spin. Remember that debate about whether your visions were prophetic or just cosmic hype. Now, you're slipping deeper into the story, tracing why these stone beds, once the heart of Pharaoh's dream quests, faded from use, their divine Wi-Fi signal growing faint as Egypt's world shifted. Picture yourself as a pharaoh in the twilight of the New Kingdom, maybe around 1000 BCE, when the empire's golden glow is starting to dim. You're lying on your stone bed, its polished surface still sacred, but the air feels differentless, charged, like the gods are distracted. The rituals, the incense, the priests chanting about Thoth's scroll, they're still here, but something's off. The world outside is changing, invasions, economic strain, and new ideas are creeping in like sand through a cracked wall. You're smirking, imagining a priest muttering, "The gods need to update their firmware." The stone bed, once a cosmic throne, is starting to feel like a relic, and you're about to find out why its star began to fade. Mainstream history points to a shift by the late period, around 700–300 BCE. Egypt faced foreign invasions, Libyans, Nubians, eventually Persians, and political instability weakened the pharaoh's divine clout. Stone beds tied to the old-school belief in dream prophecies lost their grip as new rulers brought different traditions, were focused on practical survival over mystic naps. You're picturing a Persian governor, eyeing your stone bed, thinking nice slab, but it'll stick to my mattress. The temples still stood, but their sleep sanctuaries were used, less the rituals, fading as Egypt's power waned. The stone bed's decline wasn't just about comfort, it was about a world where divine dreams took a back seat to swords and trade. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some fringe sources whisper that the rise of oracles, think priests reading omens in stars or animal guts, started outshining dream visions. Imagine a pharaoh mid-dream being told, forget Thoth's scroll. The oracle's goat liver says, invasion's coming. You're chuckling, picturing a priest juggling papyrus, and entrails trying to keep up with the new trend. Historians still argue whether stone beds fell out of favor because dreams lost their prophetic edge, or because foreign rulers didn't buy into the whole bay-flying god-chatting vibe. Was it cultural drift? Or did people just get tired of sleeping on rocks? You're rubbing your back, thinking comfort might be one a vote or two. Let's set the scene. You're in the temple, the starry ceiling, still winking, but the torches burn lower. Their light weaker, like the empire itself. The stone bed feels heavier tonight, its hieroglyphs less vibrant, as if they know their time's running out. Priests are still here, chanting softly, but their voices lack the old fire. Maybe they're doubting the gods signal strength too. Outside, the Nile flows, but the air carries whispers of change. Foreign merchants in the markets, new gods creeping into shrines. You're clutching your amulet, its eye of Horus faded from years of use, and you're wondering if Thoth still got your number, or if he's moved on to a new client. The decline wasn't just political, it was spiritual. The old gods like Thoth and Isis faced competition from foreign deities as Egypt became a cultural crossroads. You're imagining a pharaoh like Psamtik, even trying to revive the old ways lying on his stone bed, but dreaming of Greek ships instead of falcons. The rituals, sci-fi incense, north-aligned, beds felt less urgent, when survival meant negotiating with invaders, not decoding divine emojis. You're joking to yourself, wondering if a priest ever suggested switching to a softer bed, like maybe Isis prefers pillows now. But the stone bed's decline was deeper. It was tied to a worldview where pharaohs were half-gods, and that idea was cracking under the weight of new realities. Now, let's get sensory. The temple's air is cooler, the frankincense fainter, like it's running low on budget. The stone bed surface is still smooth, but you're noticing tiny chips where from centuries of dreaming kings. The hieroglyphs, once sharp, feel softer under your fingers, like the stones tired of carrying divine weight. Outside, the Nile's lap is drowned out by distant shout-straighters maybe, or soldiers drilling. Your amulet feels heavier, like it's holding onto the old magic, but the temple's hum is quieter, the starry ceiling less dazzling. You're picturing the artisans who carved this bed, their work outlasting their world, and it's humbling like lying on a fading echo of Egypt's glory. The stone bed's fall wasn't sudden, it was a slow drift. Priests kept up the rituals, but fewer pharaohs relied on dreams when oracles or advisors offered quicker answers. You're imagining a late-period ruler, half foreign, half Egyptian, sleeping on a cushioned bed, dismissing the stone as old-fashioned. The dream book still circulated, but it was more folklore than policy guide. You're feeling the shift now, the way the bed's chill seems less like a cosmic anchor and more like a museum piece. Yet you're still here, chasing one last vision, hoping the gods haven't clocked out. The Nile's rhythm calls, and you're drifting toward sleep, the stone's fading magic still whispering of empires past. You're lying back on that stone bed. It's chill now, a bittersweet friend. The worn hieroglyphs falcons, ankhs, that fading scarabily, catching the torchlight as the temple's starry ceiling dims. The Nile's rhythm hums outside a faint echo of the empire's glory you felt slipping away in that last moment of reflection. Remember how the stone beds lost their shine outpaced by oracles and foreign ideas. Now you're shifting gears, not chasing dreams, but digging into the past, literally. You're about to explore the archaeological clues, the artifacts that whisper how pharaohs slept on stone to chase visions of the future, their secrets carved into the relics they left behind. Picture yourself leaving the temple, the air sharp with desert dust as you trek to a dig site where archaeologists are brushing sand from history's bones. You're no longer just a pharaoh. You're a time traveler sifting through the sands to uncover the stone beds, amulets, and inscriptions that tell the story of Egypt's dream quest. The sun's high, baking the earth, and you're squinting at a half-buried slab, its edges chipped, but still etched with spells for safe dreaming. You're smirking, imagining an archaeologist muttering, "Another rock bed." These guys really hated pillows. These finds aren't just artifacts, they're keys to understanding why the pharaohs bet their empires on stone-bound sleep. Mainstream history gives us solid ground excavations like those in Tutankhamun's tomb. From 1922 CE uncovered stone beds with intricate carvings, lotus flowers, cobras, protective deities proving their sacred role. These beds, often found in royal tombs or temple complexes, were built to last their hieroglyphs, spelling out rituals for divine connection. You're picturing Tut's bed, its gold inlays glinting even in death, a testament to the belief that dreams followed pharaohs into the afterlife. These artifacts aren't just pretty, they're proof. The Egyptians engineered sleep for prophecy, each bed a snapshot of a culture obsessed with the divine. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some fringe archaeologists claim they found dream kits near stone beds, small caches of amulets, incense burners, even tiny lotus-shaped vials that might be held sleep-inducing herbs. Picture a pharaoh's bedside table, cluttered like an ancient apothecary with a vial labeled "Prophecy, Juice, 1 sip only." No hard evidence confirms these kits were standard, but you're chuckling, imagining a priest slipping a vial under the bed, like it's an ancient energy drink. Historians still argue whether these artifacts were purely ritualistic or hints of a lost dream technology. Did they amplify visions, or were they just spiritual bling? You're brushing imaginary sand off a carved ankh, wondering if it held the key to Thoth's Wi-Fi. Let's set the scene. You're crouching at the dig site, the air thick with grit and the faint tang of ancient stone. The bed before you is cracked, but majestic, its surface worn smooth by centuries of royal backs. Hieroglyphs snake along its sides, their lines faded, but legible spells for Osiris, prayers for clear dreams. Nearby, a shattered clay burner holds traces of Képhi, that crocodile dung incense you're still not over. You're touching the bed, its coolness a shock under the desert sun, and its light connecting to the pharaohs themselves, their hopes etched into every groove. The Nile's distant lap feels like a nod from history, tying you to those starry nights in the temple. These artifacts tell a story. The beds, often aligned north-south like your own, were found in temples like Karnak, or in tombs meant to carry pharaohs into eternal sleep. You're imagining the artisans again, their chisels singing as they carved these slabs, knowing their work would bridge worlds. Smaller fine amulets, headrests, even papyrus scraps with dream symbols hint at the rituals you've lived through the chants, the oils, the starry ceilings. You're joking to yourself, wondering if an archaeologist ever tried napping on one of these beds just to test the vibe. But the evidence is clear. Stone beds were sacred tech, built to anchor the BA while it soared through divine chat rooms. Now, let's get sensory. The dig site smells of dry earth and old stone, the air heavy with heat and history. Your fingers trace the beds, carvings, their edges softened by time, like the memory of the pharaohs themselves. A nearby amulet chipped, but gleaming feels heavy in your hand, its eye of Horus staring back like it knows your secrets. The wind carries a faint hum, maybe the Nile, or just your imagination echoing the temple's lost chants. You're picturing the moment this bed was buried sealed in a tomb with a pharaoh's, hopes its hieroglyphs, a final prayer for dreams that never fade. The artifacts aren't just relics, they're puzzles. Some beds bear inscriptions linking them to specific gods like Thoth or Isis, suggesting tailored rituals for different visions. You're imagining a pharaoh choosing his bed like it's a cosmic playlist. Tonight, I need an Isis dream grab, the turquoise one. The debate lingers, were these beds universal, or did each pharaoh customize his setup? You're feeling the weight of history. Now the way these finds connect you to a world where sleep was strategy, not rest. As you stand sand crunching underfoot, you're ready to return to your own stone bed, its story clearer, with every artifact unearthed, its magic still whispering across the centuries. You're back on that stone bed, one last time, its cool, worn surface cradling you like a silent witness to history. The hieroglyphs, faded falcon's ankhs, that sly scarab barely catching the torchlight's glow. The Nile's rhythm hums outside, tying you to the dig site, where you brush sand from ancient beds, their carvings whispering of pharaohs who chased divine futures. Remember those artifacts, the amulets and incense burners that hinted at a lost dream technology. Now you're stepping beyond Egypt, reflecting on how its obsession with prophetic sleep left ripples that still touch the world today. The temple's starry ceiling feels softer now, its light fading as you sink into the legacy of those stone-bound nights. Picture yourself standing on the Nile's bank, the water glinting under a modern moon, the pyramids looming like ghosts of the pharaoh's dreams. You're no longer just a ruler chasing Thoth's scroll. You're a time traveler, seeing how Egypt's dream, culture, seeped into the world from ancient neighbors to the apps buzzing on your phone. The stone bed, once a cosmic antenna, is gone, but its idea that sleep can unlock hidden truths lives on. You're smirking, imagining a modern sleep tracker promising prophetic vibes. Asks 80% accuracy, and wondering if the Egyptians would have swiped right on that. Mainstream history shows Egypt's influence Greek and Roman writers like Herodotus in the 5th century. BCE described Egyptian dream practices, which inspired their own oracles and sleep temples, like those of Asclepius, where people napped for healing visions. You're picturing a Greek philosopher, sandals dusty, lying in a temple and muttering, "Thanks, Egypt, but can I get a cushion?" The idea of dreams as divine messages spread, shaping mysticism in the Mediterranean and beyond. Even today, you're seeing echoes, psychoanalysis, dream journals, even those quirky lucid dreaming apps owe a nod to the pharaohs' stone beds, their belief that sleep could reveal the future. Here's the quirky tidbit some fringe thinkers claim: Egyptian dream practices influenced early alchemy, with medieval mystics seeking visions through rituals that sound suspiciously like Wi-Fi-fueled naps. Picture an alchemist beard singed dozing on a stone slab and dreaming of the philosopher's stone muttering, "Thanks Thoth for the recipe." No hard proof, but you're chuckling, imagining a medieval X post just dreamt the elixir of life DM for details. Historians still argue whether Egypt's dream culture directly shaped modern spirituality or if it's just a romantic coincidence. Did the stone bed's legacy really stretch to Freud's couch? Or are we just connecting cosmic dots? You're toying with your amulet, wondering if its magic still hums in today's world. Let's set the scene. You're in a modern museum, the stone bed displayed behind glass, its hieroglyphs glowing under soft lights. The air smells of polished floors, and time the Nile's echo, replaced by the hum of air conditioning. You're staring at the bed, its surface scarred but proud, and you're feeling its story. Centuries of pharaohs, their BA soaring through starry voids, chasing falcons and dodging snakes. The museum's quiet, but you're hearing whispers. Greek oracles, Roman seers, even your friend's dream journal, all tied to this slab. You're joking to yourself, wondering if you'd dream better on stone, or if your mattress is divine enough. The legacies clear Egypt, turned sleep into a sacred art, and we're still chasing its shadow. The influence wasn't just spiritual, it was practical. Egyptian dream symbols, like the lotus or falcon, popped up in later cultures, reworked into omens or myths. You're imagining a Roman senator dreaming of a lotus and calling it a sign from Juno, not Isis. The stone bed's hardness, its north-south alignment, even that Chi-Fi incense, these ideas trickled into rituals worldwide from meditation to modern mindfulness. You're picturing a yoga instructor, voice soft, saying, "Channel your inner pharaoh," and you're grinning because it's not that far off. The Egyptians taught us that sleep could be more than rest, it could be a quest, a way to touch something bigger. Now let's get sensory. The museum's lights are low. The stone bed's surface cool, even through the glass, its carvings sharp, despite their age. Your fingers itch to touch it, to feel the artisans work the pharaoh's dreams. The air's sterile, but you're catching a ghost of frankincense, a memory of the temple's starry nights. The bed feels alive, like it's still humming with Thoth's Wi-Fi, connecting you to a world where sleep was power. You're hearing the Nile in your mind, its lap a steady pulse, and you're wondering how many dreams, ancient or modern, started on a bed like this, shaping history with every vision. The legacy isn't just in artifacts or texts, it's in us. You're thinking about your own dreams, how you wake up, wondering what they mean, maybe jotting them down like a 21st century dream book. The Egyptians gave us that instinct, that itch to find meaning in sleep's chaos. Their stone beds may be museum pieces now, but their belief in dreams as portals lives on in every lucid dreaming app, every therapist's couch, every late-night journal entry. You're feeling it now, the weight of their faith, the way they turned a hard slab into a bridge to the future. As you step away from the display, the bed story lingers, its magic, a quiet hum in your bones. You're drifting, now the museum fading, the stone bed's chill softening into a gentle memory. The Nile's rhythm slows its waters, lapping like a lullaby, carrying you back to your own bed, soft and warm, far from the pharaoh's unyielding slabs. The stars above the temple blur their light, wrapping you in a calm embrace, the hieroglyphs, falcons, lotuses, snakes melting into a soothing haze. You're safe here, no divine deadlines or cosmic PowerPoints to chase. The Egyptians' dreams shaped empires, but yours are just for you whispers of your own heart, not God's. Let the stone bed's legacy fade its weight, lifting, leaving only peace. The Nile flows on eternal, its murmur, a promise that tomorrow's dreams will wait. Close your eyes, breathe deep, and let the night carry you gently, like a reed boat on a quiet river. Sleep now, wrapped in history's echo, and let the stars sing you to rest.